Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereupon. I have just bought a house, which is great, being able to buy your own home. It's actually a lot cheaper to have a mortgage than it is to rent. But it does mean that I need to make some changes around here, because the landlord is going to want to show this house to potential future renters. Well, as Adam Savage often puts it, if you're a maker, then you need to be a high functioning hoarder, because you never know when you're going to need stuff. And high functioning, yes, maybe. Hoarder, definitely. Because I've got a lot. It's all a bit of a mess, it looks like, but that's all things that I've kept in order to build future projects. Now, either I need to use them up now, or I need to take them with me to the new place and store them somewhere at my parents' house or something. And because it's just cardboard and bits of scrap, I don't think they're going to be pretty pleased with me trying to store it there, and I don't really want to be taking it with me. So I need to build something with it now. So my plans, ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereupon, is to make the 7 wonders of the ancient world. And I'm going to give each wonder its own unique function, so it's not just a display model, a diorama sort of thing. And the first of these is going to be the Great Pyramid of Khufu. That's Khufu spelled sun disk bird, snake bird. And I think I'm going to double this up and mix it with a bit of a Zen garden. So it's going to be a fairly simple build, I think, because a pyramid is just big triangles. But what might not be so simple is the scale of it. But we'll get into that when we start building. First thing I need to do is find some cardboard of an appropriate size. So my original plan with these wonders was to build them all to a 1/100th scale. And I thought of that because my favourite wonder is the Colossus of Rhodes, because I went to Rhodes when I was a kid and that was like the big thing there. So I know how big that wonder was. It's estimated to be about 30 metres tall. So I thought a 1:100 ratio makes it 30 centimetres, which is that tall. So it would have been sitting nicely on a desk or table. However, if I were to do that to the other wonders, we get slightly skewed scales. For a lot of them, it would be fine. Statue of Zeus at Olympia, not a problem. Even, I think, the Artemisia or the Mausoleum of Helicarnassus, I think we're okay with that scale. Some of them we probably get quite big. I have to double check the numbers. The Great Pyramid, however, is 146 metres tall, which it's a bit smaller now because the outside cladding's been taken off. But if I were to do that to a 1/100th scale, then it would have ended up here, sort of my shoulder height. And what's more, it's actually wider than it is tall. So in terms of how wide it would be, it was something like it'd be wider than my entire room is tall. So a 1/100th scale isn't going to work for the Great Pyramid. So I'm going to aim for a 1/500th scale with this one, and I'm going to have to not have them on equal scales, because if I were to do the Colossus on that scale, it would be absolutely tiny. It'd be like a Lego figure. So yeah, I'm going to have to mix it up a bit. Now, it also means that I don't have a piece of cardboard large enough to do any single part of the pyramid. So I'm going to have to figure out ways of doing it in smaller parts. Okay, so because I don't have any piece of cardboard that's large enough to do the entire side, what I'm going to have to do is cut it into smaller sections. So I need pieces of cardboard that are 11.5 centimetres long by 14.64 centimetres high, and then cutting some of them in half, we can create the triangle. So we'll create these sections here and here, and then we're just going to have to reinforce the back with extra pieces of card in order to keep it stable. And then that's going to create the side, and we do that for 4 of them, and I have to do something else for the Mortuary Temple if I end up building that. Now what most people don't realise is that the pyramid is not just a pyramid. Sounds counterintuitive, I know, but there's actually a pyramid complex around it. And one of the most important features that I can see is an enclosure wall. In a lot of ancient structures and a lot of ancient religions, there was always a division between the sacred space and the everyday space. And I think this enclosure wall was probably something like that. Something to separate out the sacred space of the pyramid from the everyday mundane space of the rest of Egypt. So I need to create a perimeter wall around it, which means I need even longer pieces of cardboard than the sides, which I didn't have pieces of cardboard big enough to cut. So I'm having to use these really long, thin pieces of card, and I need 56 centimetres long ways and 10 centimetres wide. And that's where my microphone died. But basically what I was saying is I need it to be 10 centimetres wide, and I'm going to score down the centre of this piece of cardboard and fold it in half. The reason that I'm scoring and folding rather than sticking together two separate pieces is that I want this to hold sand to make it into a Zen garden, and if I stick things together there's a chance that I'm going to make a gap. So as much as I can, I'm going to try folding the cardboard so that we know that there's no gap where sand can come through. Once this is all stuck together, I'm then going to use some thinner card to cut out pieces for the Mortuary Temple which adjoins the temple wall. Finally, I'm going to trim down the perimeter wall to a more appropriate size. Now, in order to create a more smooth surface and to hide all of that black tape, I'm going to cover the whole thing in PVA glue and water and apply some newspaper to the outside, trying my best to reduce the amount of wrinkles that occur on the surface. I found that the easiest way to reduce the number of wrinkles is not to use large sheets as I did to begin with, but to rip the paper into smaller, thinner sections. Although the surface of the pyramid is lost now, it would originally have been made of limestone and would have given the pyramid a brilliant white sheen. Now it is a bit anachronistic to put a gilded top onto the pyramid, as there's no evidence that the pyramids actually had a gilded top, at least not in this period, but the pyramid would look a little bit bland if I didn't do something, so. And there we have it, a scale model of Khufu's Great Pyramid. And to put this in perspective, this little square of card has a stick figure on it, the same scale as myself. And this is the scale of the pyramid.